Today we're gonna see if this lens is truly great. It's one of the fastest zoom lenses and it became quite popular. You can use it for portraits, landscapes, and street photography. It has a constant wide aperture of f1.8. Thanks to my local camera shop F64 that lent me this lens, I had a lot of fun using it. The Sigma 18 to 35mm f1.8 DC HSM Art. Today we're gonna learn 12 things about it, from physical aspects to image quality tests. Let's start with the first one, build quality. From the first second when you hold it in your hand, this lens feels solid. The zoom ring and the focusing ring, they both turn very smoothly. No stickiness and the right amount of pressure for precise handling. Underneath these rings, we have metal. The lens doesn't have a weather sealing gasket, but it definitely gives a premium feeling when you hold it. Camera compatibilities. It was made to work only on crop sensor cameras. Different versions were created for Canon, Nikon, Sony, and Pentax cameras. I have the Canon version, and of course, with an adapter, I can also use it on my mirrorless crop sensor camera. Focal length. 18 to 35mm lets you photograph in tight spaces, but it also gives you the ability to zoom in a bit. The full frame equivalent of this lens on Canon cameras goes from 29 to 56mm. This offers a lot of flexibility. While I was out photographing with this lens, the small zoom range didn't bother me at all. The lens keeps you close to the action, thus making you a better photographer. Size and weight. What surprised me at this lens is the size. I expected it to be a bit smaller. It will make your camera longer by 12.1 centimeters. And because of all the metal, it has a weight of 810 grams. It's not too big. It's definitely smaller and lighter than Canon's 24 to 70mm lens. Minimum and maximum aperture values. What really makes this lens special is the constant minimum aperture of f1.8 throughout the zoom range. Owning this Sigma is like having multiple prime lenses in one lens, and this is the reason for its popularity. You can use it in low light conditions at f1.8 and also get a large depth of field. You can close the aperture at a maximum value of f16. It has 9 rounded aperture blades, which is great. Focusing. By taking this lens out, I didn't notice any focus hunting, and as you can see, it focuses quite fast. The hypersonic motor, as Sigma named it, does a good job. The focusing motor is silent, but it does make some clicking noises when it does its thing, as you can hear. The size of this lens won't change because it has internal focusing. All the elements are moving inside, and the front element won't shift. It allows precise manual focusing because, as I told you, the ring turns very smoothly. Also, we have full-time manual focus override, so a good performance when it comes to focusing. Coating and IS. This lens has a super multi-layer coating, and as you will see later in tests, it does a good job. Unfortunately, it doesn't have image stabilization, but thanks to the focal lengths of this lens, the lack of IS shouldn't be a big issue for photographers. Let's now test the image quality. Let's see if this popular lens truly deserves its popularity. At 18mm f1.8, the middle of the image looks excellent with good contrast and no chromatic aberrations. In the corner, where all lenses struggle, surprisingly, the image remains sharp. It has just a bit of chromatic aberrations. If we stop down to f2.8, already the image is looking very good from corner to corner. There are no significant improvements if we stop the aperture more. And of course, going beyond f10 will soften the image a bit due to diffraction. At 35mm f1.8, the middle of the image got a bit softer, but this still is a very good result with nice contrast and no chromatic aberrations. The corners look like the middle of the image, very good. On top of that, the chromatic aberrations disappeared. If we stop down to f2.8, the corners look spectacular. This is an excellent performance on sharpness coming from this lens, a true masterpiece. It's even better than some prime lenses. Moving to distortion and vignetting. At 18mm, we have a slight barrel distortion, but not too bad for 18mm. The corners are a bit dark at f1.8, but again, not a bad result, looking better now at f2.8. At 24mm, there are no distortions. The lines are nice and straight. Again, vignetting will look better if we close the aperture a bit. At 35mm, we see a gentle pincushion distortion. The corners are a bit dark now at f1.8, but if we stop down to f2.8, we get a big improvement. Overall, not great, but not too bad when it comes to distortion and vignetting. Close-up image quality. I focused here on the close-up letters. At 18mm f1.8, already we see a good performance, nice sharpness. If we stop down to f2.8, everything is looking excellent. Let's zoom in all the way to 35mm. We see that the image is softer now at f1.8. We get more sharpness if we stop down to f2.8. It's a good result here. In bright light, the lens does an okay job, without losing too much contrast and with a small amount of flaring. Finally, bokeh. This is a photo made at 18mm f1.8. The bokeh is superb. You might say that I'm too close to the subject, but even when I got farther away at 18mm, we still have a very good result. By zooming in at 35mm, background blur is looking very nice. A good result here. In conclusion, hands down, this is a good lens. Although it doesn't have image stabilization, it shines when it comes to image quality. It truly is one of the best zoom lenses out there, and it deserves its popularity. If you enjoyed this video, press that like button and consider subscribing. Thank you.